I'm Cursing Mushroom, and welcome to another Destiny 2 video. What's up, Guardians? So let's talk about the stormcaller and a build that I think is efficient in both DPS and recovery. So this build is going to be something that you can use in all forms of the game, like most of my builds, and what I mean by that is you can run strikes, you can run raids, you can run lairs with no issues whatsoever. So with that being said, no further ado, let's get into the stats of the build. So let's get into the stats of this build. So in this build, I'll show you the skill tree first. With Stormcaller, I'm going to be using the bottom skill tree. The reasoning is because I'm going to read these off to you and then I'll explain a little bit. So you've got Rising Storm. This electrocuting melee ability hits at extended range and recharges your super, grenade, and melee energy. Then you have Landfall. On casting a Storm Trance, fire a bolt of lightning into the ground. So you want to jump over your enemies when you cast your actual super. It will damage the enemies below you. And you've got Electrostatic Surge. Your Rift charges faster when allies are near. And then you've got Arc Soul. Your Rift now grants you or an ally that uses it an Arc Soul to aid in battle. They don't do a lot of damage, but any extra damage is good. Now, in terms of the grenade, I like the Arc Bolt grenade for most engagements, but if you're going to do like a raid or boss encounter, I'll recommend the Pulse or the Storm Grenade, so that way you could get focused damage for an extended period of time. It does more damage overall than just this one that's really good for just destroying a couple adds and moving on. I'll also use Healing Rift. You can use Empowering Rift depending on where you stand in terms of raid status. Like if you're on Callus and you're the guy that would be using the Empowering Rift, then use the Empowering Rift. Use what this, honestly, to me, is what you prefer. I just mostly use the healing and then I'll use the Empowering on Callus engagement. Okay, so let's get on, to the other stuff. So in terms of weapons, for some reason with my Warlock, I like using scout rifles and close range autos, but that's the reason is because of the pairing with the Karnstein Armlets, because if I'm using a weapon that kind of forces me to be a little bit closer, then I can take advantage of my melee attacks with my armlets. But these are all subjective as well. Now, of course, the whole build is subjective, but I'm going to give you my thoughts regardless, and hopefully it helps you in your gameplay. So I'm going to be using full restorative armor, so that way I can get my max recovery to 10, and then mobility for me is the least important, and because I am using a Warlock, I'm going to ride that 0, so that way I can get some more mods for my actual abilities, because the Warlock abilities is kind of where he shines in my opinion. So I'm going to keep that resilience at 4, and that way I can take enough damage in PvP. PvE, it's always good to be at 4, in my opinion, at least 4. So on these, I have mods. As you look, I've got the Arc Melee, I've got the overall ability charges faster arc, I've got the Arc Grenade, and then the restorative mod, so that way I can hit that recovery 10. Now, the reason I'm using 2 grenades and 1 melee and 1 overall is because of this right here, the Rising Storm. This electrocuting melee ability hits at extended range and recharges your super, grenade, and melee energy. I like to have my grenade a lot, so that's why I chose to have 2 grenades, but because of that ability is why I chose the Arc Melee, so that way I can get it back in a better rate, so that way I can continuously recharge my grenade and super and melee, all that stuff. Because honestly, you don't need mods with the Karnstein to do their job, which I'm going to read off here in a second. And it just helps kind of get that ability recharge back, so that way you can recharge everything, which is nice. Now, in terms of the Karnstein Armlets, how they work is melee attacks grant increased resilience and mobility, and they highlight injured enemies. Melee kills greatly restore health. So you guys know me, I like to ride that recovery 10. The Karnstein Armlets just fit my playstyle because I like to melee heal myself. And with the Stormcaller, you don't really have a way to heal yourself, but you can do a lot of damage in terms of ad control and overall like spamming grenades, melees, and stuff. And that's where these come in place. They help you heal yourself when you need to heal, and it helps being at a recovery 10 because it's much more effective. It happens quicker. So that's going to be pretty much the build. It's great. It's fantastic. So let's get back to the gameplay and check it out. Okay, guys, so what are you thinking about this build so far? Are you interested in it? Are you intrigued? Does it tickle your fancy? If it does, just comment down below and let me know how you feel about it. It's one of my favorite builds in terms of the stormcaller. I like using it. The problem with the actual Warlock is, and everybody knows me, I main a Titan, but the Warlock has more good exotic gear than any other class, in my opinion. Now, you can say whatever you want about it, but I think it's very true because they've got some really good gear options. So it makes a build not hard to do, but it makes choosing a build that I would consider my favorite hard to do. I probably am going to do more builds of the Warlock in the future just because there's so many good exotics that I can pair with things. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget, give me that big thumbs up. And only if you did enjoy the video, and don't forget, share it with your buddies if they need some help with their Warlock. Guys, it's been great. It's been wonderful. I hope you have a great afternoon, morning, day, or night, wherever you may be. I would say cursing mushroom out, but we're going to enjoy this gameplay and listen to some tunes. Cursing mushroom out.
Remember when we were young and immortal, when life was just a game and nothing really mattered, when I was the one on top of the mountain, when freedom was the ride of a life. Bring me back to 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 life. Every night I watch the stars hoping for a sign. My father said, come down to earth, my son.